So walk us through. You just said you've got a bunch of high school students traveling around the entire country, right? How does that work with school and everything else that the kids have on their back as well?
Well, I mean, it's just teaching them how to manage and departmentalize and you know navigate through. Because when you become a student athlete, even when you get to college, those are things you're going to have to do. The good part was most of those tournaments take place like in the holiday season or Martin Luther King weekend or Thanksgiving during the Thanksgiving break. They take place, so it wasn't a lot of school out of school time missed, but there was some. But it's a great opportunity for them to learn. We would have study halls and hotel conference rooms where they would have to buckle down their work and study their work or what have you. But I think it was a great lesson for them in learning how to manage. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right, so keep going. Tell us about like
All right.
that next job opportunity, but then also
The
getting into Team USA.
Okay, so the USA thing, like I said, it was there. I coached it, but then I get an opportunity to coach at Georgia State. I take it, which means I couldn't coach USA any longer because it was kind of like a conflict of interest. Because I was coaching, young kids, but I'm also recruiting, so that's like a NCAA violation, I guess you could say. So I couldn't do it. So I did Georgia State for 2 years. Learned so much. Signed a lot of high level kids. One of the reasons they wanted me there because I could go in any high school in Georgia and recruit because I knew every coach. Every coach pretty much knew me, so I could go recruit anywhere in the state. And I signed a lot of high level kids. We went to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, so pause there. Before you went to the tournament, where was the team with you coming in?
This was the year after they had made a big splash in the tournament. I don't know if you guys remember that. Back in 2017, I think it was. Or no, I'm sorry, 2015. They made a big splash. They beat Baylor and they went to the next round. But the year after that, they had a tough year because their best player went to the NBA, and they were tough, and so everything kind of changed, and so we had to kind of build it back up. And so we had to get the kind of players to help build it back up. So within 2 years, we were back in the NCAA tournament, and we went there. And again, just great. But one thing about being at the college level, and especially at a mid-major school, it's a bit of a rat race because you spend a lot of time on the road recruiting, and you don't have the luxury private jets that maybe University of Kentucky or Duke has. So you got to spend a lot of time recruiting, hitting the ground. And my kids were young. And so I missed my kids. My son played basketball. My daughter was a competition cheerleader. I missed every one of their competitions and games for 2 years in a row. And I valued that and I missed that. But I also realized that college was more of a, it wasn't as pure as high school.
Yeah.
It's more of a business. And you don't really form the relationships that you have in the high school because these are grown men and everybody's trying to get to the NBA. They don't care who you are. They don't care about that. And so I just felt like it's probably best for me to go back to high school. I kind of got that itch scratched a little bit because I always wanted to do college. And who says I wouldn't go back, but I would want to go back as a head coach because one thing I learned about being an assistant coach, and especially at a school where it's a mid-major, where the resources are not quite the same, especially like now, I definitely wouldn't want to do it at this time now because it's the haves and the have-nots now with NIL. But with a rat race, you can win the race, but you're still a rat in a way. And that's the way I looked at it being an assistant coach. Because you can run around selling kids, but you're back in the same spot you started at. And so I went back to high school, went to Pace Academy. As soon as I did, the next day when I got hired at Pace Academy, USA Basketball called me and said, "We want you back. You were great for us." And I became a head coach for USA Basketball in 2021.
Now, it's interesting tasting it, leaving, knowing who you are, what inspires you going back to youth sports from that standpoint, and then coming back to Team USA. And this is the start of like this unbelievable storied win after win after win after win.